He's going to have to come up with some explanation for how he thought it was appropriate to do what he did by taking out a gun to begin with, instead of letting that car leave or do whatever, and then firing it. If he has any training, and we have to presume he has some, he is trained on how not to use a gun before he uses a gun. That's what cops are trained to do, when to not use your gun, and only to use it under the most necessary circumstances.
Do you think it was racially motivated, or what is your read of that?
I don't think that Officer Tenzing got up that morning and decided he was going to kill a black guy. But we know that the reason why young black males or blacks are in the criminal justice system more than they should be is because there are these almost subtle, unspoken biases that exist between all of us. We all make instantaneous decisions about each other. Unfortunately, it seems we are still making negative instantaneous decisions about blacks, and that seems to be one of the explanations for why it shows up in more arrests. So, active, no. Passive, probably. If you want to leave with a prayer, or do whatever you like.
Yes. When my son, the day that I heard my son was killed, and I came forth, and so many people it was a gentleman speaking of my son, and I knew that gentleman knew my son. The way he spoke of him, I knew he knew him. And I felt the need to go up there and just hug him. And when I came forth, I brought the Lord with me. He goes with me everywhere I go. And I said, the Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also established, that it cannot be moved. Thy throne is established of old. Thou art from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods have lifted up their waves. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. Thy testimonies are very sure. Holiness becometh thine house, O Lord, forever. Bless the Lord in all that you do, because, see, you get to know God, you got something. God is almighty. And I'm so thankful that everything was uncovered, because I've been a servant of the Lord for as long as I've been living on earth. I've been loving the Lord. And I know the Lord. And I know the wrath of God. Also, I know the love of God. So I just thank God that everything is being revealed. I knew that he loved my child. I knew that this was not going to be uncovered. And I pray that everybody out there, all the soldiers who was out there marching with me for the justice for my son, I thank you. And I hope that you continue to do this, not just for my son, but for many others, and I'm ready to join the battlefield, because my heart go out for so many that's been unjust. But it's only, y'all got to realize that God is in the forehead. God is God. We're just the soldiers. He fight the battle. Let him fight this battle, and just be thankful I want everybody to just lift up their heads in prayer and thank God, because this one did not go unsolved and hidden. So just lift up your heads and thank God and give him the glory. And we're going to continue to fight together and God, with God, because we just the soldiers. And we're going to continue to lift him up. And I think more and more be revealed. And all these people who's going out here, these wicked people, we already got the victory. We just got to know that. And thank everyone for doing all that they've done.
Mrs. Would you share with us, the family, your reaction to Prosecutor Dieters telling you today that there has been a grand jury indictment and then showing the video, because you and your family have been, for the last 9 or 10 days, calling for release of that video and calling for indictment?
Yes. What I thought was it was going to be covered up. I've heard many stories and everything. But like I say, I trust God, and I knew that it was going to be all right. I knew that if this man, went free and nothing was done to him, it was because he was he was really a righteous man and didn't do nothing. But I knew that my son was a righteous man. I knew what my son, he had the same spirit that dwells in me, dwell in him. That's all he was fed. So if my son is righteous and he get killed, somebody had to be wicked here. This is what, and I wanted to bring it to front. I wanted to, with this, I can rest because I knew it was so much just done beforehand, and I thank everybody who came forward with the information. I thought it should have, I thought the person should have been locked up day one. He should have never been released if they saw the film. Why is he still walking the streets? Because it was murder.
Maybe premature, and I'm not talking necessarily the idea of the criminal justice system, but you're obviously a person of great faith. Could you see in your heart to forgive this person, this officer, whether he's convicted or not?
If he asks forgiveness, oh yeah, I can forgive him. I can forgive anybody. God forgave us. But God already, see, I didn't even think nothing about him not getting convicted here, because, see, I was told that this man was released and nobody could find him, but he can't hide from God. See, God is almighty, so I wasn't worried about that neither.
Humphrey, you had said yesterday that you really wanted to see the video, that you couldn't have peace or sleep until you knew what happened.
Yes.
Seeing that video, does that give you peace?
Seeing that video let me know that my son did absolutely nothing. Not nothing. Nothing to even provoke this man. See, my son he would love to get a laugh, and I thought, well, maybe this man, he didn't try to get a laugh and make this man, just put a different spirit on the situation. So, and he always had a joyful spirit. So I said, well, maybe Sam was playing with him and he took it the wrong way. And that could have been, mistaken. But I realized that this wasn't even the case. That wasn't even the case.
Isn't it hard to make sense of it when you look at that video?
No, because it's wicked in this world. It's terrible. But God is bringing it to the light. It's through the people that love the Lord and serve him. They're going to find this wickedness. He's going to bring it out. He said what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. So this man was just one person that he knew that was wicked, and he was going to bring this man to the light.
You were talking about joining the battlefield and walking, marching with people.
For people who they been killed by cops, but you know, yeah, but sure, but no. Why I'm focusing on cops is because so many people that came out and said about these cop killings. There's a lot of murders go unsolved, but my son, God, when God do something in your life, you know that touches your heart. And my son was killed by a cop unjustly. I got to know that it's many more people out there is being killed by cops unjustly. And like people was on the battlefield for me, I want to be out there on the battlefield for them, but in God's name. And, you know, knowing that God is going to fight the battle, not me. I'm just a soldier in it. I want to be there for others like they was there for me.
Could you start it over?
I'm sorry, I want to make sure I reflect the family's position accurately about how this has turned out, because so much has been said over the past week and a half to release the video, and local media joined in a lawsuit regarding that. You have many people calling for it. So I want to, as you've seen the video now and have heard the evidence that the prosecutor, that now there's been an indictment, are you satisfied that you feel the investigation so far has been handled the right way by waiting until all the investigation is over, to release the video?
Well, I think anytime that we get a indictment for murder for something like this, awesome. I mean, couldn't go any better.
What did you think when you saw the tape, sir?
I just thought that it was unprovoked, senseless.
I want to make sure the family is, and all along has been saying, don't do anything violent in Sam, because Sam wouldn't have wanted that.
Right.
Can you tell us again, is that still your message, and what is it?
Oh, that's definitely our message. Sam was peaceful. He lived peaceful. And in his death, we want to remain peaceful. Like my mom said, let God fight the battle. I'm a lifetime Cincinnatian. I remember, 2001. We don't want none of that. That shouldn't happen. That's bad.
Murder indictments are unusual against cops in America. You can look at Ferguson, you can look at New York, you can look at Cleveland. But it's happened here for your brother. What does that mean to the family?
It means that, Sam had a higher purpose. This was God. All the way from beginning to end. He had a higher purpose to serve. It's bigger than just him being a great brother, great son. He had a purpose for the whole country, the whole world. Everybody can see these effects, these changes, and how Cincinnati handles things properly.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you all very much.
First name?
Aubrey.
You're Aubrey.
Aubrey?
My name's Aubrey.
Yes.
Aubrey.
And it's Audrey.
Yes.
I'm Cleishan. That's CLESHAWN. Dubose. DUBOSE.
And Tarina, you want to?
Tarina. TERINA. Allen. ALLEN.
You had asked a question about what does it mean that Sam would be in this with all of the other incidents. First of all, if it were not for that video camera, Sam would be no different than all the other incidents because the second officer was ready to corroborate every lie that the first officer said in the report. So I just want to be very clear that we feel for a lot of families out there, and I wasn't even really big on video cams, but every day now I'm going to be marching for video cams because my brother was being prosecuted for trying to kill a police officer. He dragged him. He assaulted him. He gave him alcohol when there was never an open container of alcohol. He was everything violent because he had children and a weed ticket, some weed charges. That man shot my brother dead. This would be the same if it were not for that video camera. And this would be the same, I guess, if it wasn't for this prosecutor and our attorneys who worked diligently to say this won't be the same. I don't know what other people are doing or what other prosecutors are doing, but I do think the video camera is a big reason why this is different.
Serena, are you pretty satisfied right now the way this has turned out? Because there's been so much said about release the video.
We knew the video was going to vindicate our brother. When you know somebody, you know somebody. So we knew the video was going to, there wasn't like, oh, well, maybe, could have, should have. We knew the video was going to vindicate our brother. My brother is 1 year younger than me, and I've known him his whole life. And I've known him to never, ever run from a police officer. His record, as bad as anyone wants to make it, proves he has no problem being arrested. I am appalled every time I think about what I've been reading about my brother. I've been reading everything, you know, he's just one other thug in the neighborhood. I don't care if he was a thug in the neighborhood. He didn't have a gun. He didn't do anything to that officer. No one deserves this. So I'm angry, but I'm as pleased as I could be that we're actually going to get some kind of justice for Sam. But I don't think we would be getting it to get back to that. I just don't think we would without the camera because they were ready to have two police officers say that Sam dragged. I mean, you all have to understand. My brother got murdered on Sunday night. And at 12:15, I got a call from my other brother to tell me that he was murdered. And when I got off the floor 3.5 hours later, I started researching everything I could about this case because I knew when he said he was shot in the head by a police officer that just didn't register for me unless the police officer just killed him. Now, I knew I was never going to be able to prove that, but I knew that's what had to have happened. And I'm sure a lot of other families around the country know that. They just don't have any video camera, or maybe they don't have a good enough attorney, which I thank God for. I don't know. Or maybe there's not a prosecutor that actually cares enough to do the right thing, or a grand jury, hallelujah, that will look at the case and say, let's really look at this case. I think there's enough to prosecute without the video camera. I think that. But I just think it would have been much more difficult because people don't listen. They just look at stereotypes. And my brother was about to be just one other stereotype. And that's not going to happen. Yeah. Is there anything? Okay. Thank you.
And then, his arraignment is, I don't know if I've been with you all, but the arraignment is tentatively scheduled for tomorrow at 10 with Judge Shanahan. You can check and see if he's been arrested or turned himself in, so I've been, here, you got, yeah. Did you say he has turned himself in? Yeah. What my staff is, we don't know. I've been in you guys, so I.
some movement.
Yes, you
there from
can.
a group of people, but we didn't see any of that, and quite frankly, so far, it has been a city of calm.
Still assuming it'd be about 15 minutes
So at
away.
this point, but we will see what happens in the very near
I'm
future.
assuming it's about 15 minutes away from now, but who knows?
And when you see this, you will not believe how quickly he pulls his gun and shoots him in the head. It's maybe a second. It's incredible. He wasn't
No, you're
dealing
exactly
with
right,
someone
but
who was
certainly
going for murder.
Kensing's attorneys are going to still make the argument that he was afraid for his life when they get to court, because that is the ultimate defense in this situation. And remember, too, just because that grand jury has indicted him, that is not the finding. That simply gets that court process going. And indeed, it will be up to a jury of his peers to decide, or possibly a judge, but probably a jury of his peers, to decide if indeed that shooting was in some way justified, if indeed his attorney, and he has a very good attorney, can convince people that indeed Ray Tensing was afraid for his life when he reached for his gun and pulled that trigger. It's going to be quite a battle in the courts, but hopefully that's the only place we will be seeing that.
Tensing, this was all based on body camera footage that was turned over during the investigation that shows Tensing's initial stop of Sam Dubose. Sam Dubose driving a vehicle that didn't have a front license plate on it. After he engages Dubose, who's behind the wheel of the vehicle, asking for his license and registration. Dubose says that he doesn't have his license on him, and at that time asks him to run his name. The officer doesn't go back to his vehicle and do that. However, he does try to have Dubose in the vehicle.
I did that for you.
And according to Peters, fires once and fatally shooting Dubose in the head. Former federal prosecutor Ken McCarthy joins me now, and Ken, we got a lot of insight, certainly from Joe Peters on this, but when we look at the history of Cincinnati, and I think the brother Albright alluded to this in talking about what happened in 2001. Let me just remind our viewers what happened in Cincinnati in 2001. They had riots, living in protest. This was after a police officer shot and killed an unarmed black man, Timothy Thomas. It was at that time that the Justice Department had launched a review of Cincinnati police. We know that the University of Cincinnati, they closed down early Wednesday today, canceling classes at the main medical campuses in preparation for this announcement, all out of an abundance of caution because of what and how people would react. But the tape really tells the tale here, doesn't it, Ken?
Well, it really does, and it also tells us, in an ironic way, the tale that perhaps so many shootings or uses of excessive force have gone on over the years and simply haven't been documented. Without a videotape, these kind of cases are very, very difficult to prove. And so the larger question for many others, we have a tragedy, we have very fast prosecution action, but what about the future? And I think a lot of that is going to be defined on how much momentum is there now to require body cameras taping across the board in police departments in every part of the country. Because this is just a Cincinnati problem. As we know, all too sadly, this is a national
Hey,
problem.
if you want it, they're going. Looks like we're walking in. They're walking in. Looks, well, I don't know how we're going to do this, but President Ono's here, so.
Legal background